Introduction. It's very easy to get excited about niche marketing. After all, how can you argue with working only a few hours per week while enjoying a full week's or even a full month's income? As awesome as the idea of online passive niche marketing income may be, achieving this reality is another thing entirely. This training dispenses with all the hype, exaggeration, and big promises. Instead, you get the framework you need to achieve greater success with niche marketing. Far from learning a collection of quick hacks you can use, you learn how to build a self-sustaining and self-reinforcing system that can ultimately lead to victory. How to pick a niche the smart way. I hope it's abundantly clear to you that a lot of people fail to make money online because they don't know how to pick niches the right way. They end up building the wrong kind of business. Regardless of how much time, effort, and money they put into their business, nothing seems to work. At best, they're forced to settle for cents on the dollar. At worst, they don't make any money at all. Picking a niche the smart way involves several filters. You have to make sure that you go through this process. You can't skip a step. You can't assume that you know what's hot, and you can't wait to just build a website and get going. I'm telling you, your impatience will ensure the early death of your business, guaranteed. Step number 1, start with your personal interest. The first thing that you need to do is to be clear about your personal interests. What kind of topics would you love to write about? What kind of topics would you like to build a business on? What makes this difficult is that a lot of people think that there is some sort of right answer. This is personal. Some people might be excited over certain topics, other people couldn't care less. What's important is that the topic subject category is attractive to you. Here's a shortcut. Ask yourself, what would you talk about all day, every day, even if you were not getting paid for it? Give yourself a couple of hours to write down everything that comes to your mind. No need to edit it, just write it down. Even if it's just half an idea or it's just a faint glimmer of an idea, write it down. Step number 2, filter your topics by search volume. If you don't already have an account at Google AdWords, go ahead and set one up. You can access this by typing in adwords.com. Log in with your existing Gmail account and set up an AdWords account. Once you're set up, look at the Tools section and select Keyword Planner Tool. Type in the topics you're interested in. Do this one by one. When you do this, you get a list of keywords related to that topic. Look at those keywords' average monthly search volume. This is an indirect way of getting a rough idea of the overall demand level for those niches. Once you've found the keywords for one niche and have listed their search volume numbers, move on to the next keyword and then the next one after that. Once you have got the numbers for all these keywords, pick the niches that are in the middle. You don't want niches that have too much search volume because they most likely have a lot of competition. On the other hand, you don't want niches that have too little search volume. Step number 3, filter by commercial value. On Google's Keyword Planner tool, next to each keyword's expected monthly search volume is a dollar figure. This is the estimate AdWords gives you regarding how much advertisers will pay per click on ads that show that keyword. This gives you a rough idea of the commercial value of each niche. Again, line up the CPC value of the keywords, come up with an average, and then compare all the niches' average values. You should focus on niches that have a decent search value. We're talking at least $1 or more per click. Again, this is the average click value. Step number 4, filter by competition level. By this step, you have shortened your list quite a bit. The next step is to enter each of the keywords related to the niches that are still on your list into Google's main search box. When you do a search on Google, it will tell you how many websites ranked for that keyword. Take note of this. You will then see how many competitors you have on average per niche. With this information, eliminate niches on your list that have too much competition. Step number 5, filter your list by search trends. Finally, go to Google Trends and enter the keywords related to the remaining niches on your list. Look for a trend line that is going up or at least is flat with a slight tilt up. This trend line tells you that your niche is not dying over time. This is very important because you don't want to build your business on a niche that's actually on its way out. Optional filters. While the 5 filters above should be enough for you to develop a viable online business, if you want to turbocharge your results and increase your likelihood of success, apply the following additional filters. Optional filter number 1, filter by social visibility. Enter your keywords on major social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, and Instagram. Can you tell if there are a lot of existing accounts on those places that talk about your niche? If there isn't, delete the niche from your list. Optional filter number 2, filter by content virality. For this filter, look at the groups pages and accounts that target the niches that you have left on your list. Look at the engagement levels of the content in those accounts. Does it seem like there's an organic, active community built around these niches? If the answer is yes, keep the niche. If the answer is no, you might want to get rid of that niche. Keep all these in mind because if at least the main 5 selection factors are present, there's a strong likelihood your business will be successful. However, keep in mind that while niche selection accounts for 90% of success, you still have to take care of the remaining 10%. Create a niche brand home. Now that you have a clear idea of what your niche is going to be, the next step is to build a home for the brand you will be creating for that niche. Pay attention to what I just said. I said that you will be building a brand. I did not say business, and I definitely didn't say website. Unfortunately, a lot of online entrepreneurs think that once they've discovered a niche, they just need to build a website or a business. Wrong. If you don't build a brand, it's only a matter of time until your business stagnates or flat out fails. You have to build a brand. This is what people will gravitate to. This is what people will build an organic community on. You have to build a brand. Otherwise, you're just simply pushing information as a commodity. That's a losing game. The best that you could offer is content and information. You really don't have much of an advantage because your visitors can get that elsewhere. In fact, your competitors probably have been around far longer than you. There's really no good reason for them to go to you for content when they can find that stuff somewhere else. You need to build a brand. Your brand is a set of values that your community and targeted audience would associate with your business. That is your brand. Build a niche brand website. The first thing that you're going to work on is your website. This is going to be the home of the brand that you manage to build through all the content that you distribute all over the internet. All that branding has to go somewhere. All that effort has to lead to a specific place on the internet, and this is your website. Do not ever confuse your website with your brand. Your website is just an expression of your brand. It is not your brand. When putting together the specifications for a website, understand that you're trying to create an experience. Think of building a website as something like setting up a nightclub. When you're setting up a dance club, nightclub, or some sort of social destination, you're looking to set up an experience. Because if you just set up a club that serves alcohol and plays loud music, you've set up something generic. You've set up something that people could experience pretty much everywhere. There has to be something that's different about your brand. This is called your unique selling proposition. That's why you have to look at your website as a giant opportunity to communicate your unique selling proposition. What is it about your treatment of your niche that makes your brand stand out from the rest? Unfortunately, only you can answer that question. Once you have set down the design parameters of your website, again, these must be intended to create some sort of unique experience. You should then select design parameters for graphics that communicate your niche identity. You should also look at getting graphics design that highlights your brand identity. All of these flow together. Quick shortcut, reverse engineer your competitors' designs. The biggest problem with creating a niche brand home is that it's too tempting to come up with something that you think is awesome or hot. You're more than welcome to brainstorm, but let me tell you, 90% of the time, whatever you come up with will fall flat. It turns out that you don't see eye to eye with your customers. The better approach would be to study what your competitors are already doing and focus on what they have in common. The reason they have certain design elements in common is that they resonate, at some level or other, with your target audience. They would not share those common design elements if they didn't speak to your audience's needs. You use that as a preliminary starting point. This is a safe spot for you to start your niche brand home design on. Later on, you're going to customize based on the actual interaction of your audience with your website. Design your site for intentional niche branding. Now that you have a clear idea of the industry standard design in your niche, make sure that your design notes would enable your selected web developer to come up with a design that is focused on building up your brand. At the very least, it must be easy to read. People shouldn't be intimidated by large blocks of text or impossibly small fonts. Again, studying your competitors and checking out the common design elements can give you a tremendous head start. Key design hooks your site has to have. Given the tremendous amount of design variability out there, I admit it can get quite confusing. However, of all the different options available, your website must have 3 hooks that will enable you to get more traffic, more engagement, and possibly more income. Social media shareability. Make sure that your website is designed for easy sharing. This goes beyond just having Facebook share buttons all over the place. That's a given. What I'm talking about is when somebody decides to share your content. The Facebook user looking at your content would see a well-formatted and highly attractive preview of your content. This means a really nice-looking header graphic, well-formatted teaser text, and other features. This is the key to shareability on social media. You have to remember that the majority of Facebook users actually scroll through their timeline. They don't really read everything that appears on their timeline. This is why your content, when shared on social media, must jump out at viewers. This increases the likelihood that they would click the share button after they feel that they've scanned enough of your content. Mobile responsiveness. As I mentioned above, the majority of people consuming online content use mobile devices. This is why mobile responsiveness is non-negotiable. It doesn't matter how big or how small the screen of your users is. The version of your website that they see must be the best version of your website. Otherwise, you'll lose them. They'll pick some other competitor whose site looks much better. Mailing list responsiveness. You have to also incorporate your mailing list to your website design. This should not be treated as an afterthought. Instead, you should look at your overall website design from the homepage, the top level, the category level, to the post level to see whether the design pushes people to sign up for your mailing list. Your mailing list is one of the most important conversion devices on your website. Don't take it lightly. Make sure it's built into your website's design. Design your niche content system for maximum conversion. Keep in mind that at this point, your niche brand marketing system has 3 structural parts: your website, social media accounts, and your mailing list. The problem is, if you stop here, you're going to fail. Why? You built a container, but you still have to come up with the content of that container. This is where creating a niche content system comes in. It has to be a system. It can't just be stuff that you come up with randomly to fill out your website. That's not going to work. Key content strategies. Niche specificity builds authority. The first content strategy you're going to focus on is niche specificity. Everything that you include in your blog or your website has to be directly related to your target niche. The more specific you are, the more authoritative and credible your online property becomes. Remember, the people who visit your website are not there to screw around. They're not doing it for their health. It's not like they have nothing else better to do. They're there because they have certain needs. It's your job to meet those needs. Otherwise, you don't develop a brand. Adapt your content to target different platforms. It's really important to make sure that you don't just produce one type of content. When you create content, it must be converted into a format that can be promoted on different platforms. For example, if you have a blog, you can promote the blog's link on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. However, don't stop with blog posts. You can convert that post into a video. Maybe it's a whiteboard with some sort of voiceover and animation. Once you've converted your content into video, you then access Vimeo or YouTube. You can get traffic from those places. You can also look at your content and strip it into small questions and promote on places like Quora. I hope you get the point. You have to start with content that is directly related to your niche, but create different formats of that content so as to widen the places you can distribute that content on. Maximize dwell time. Another key content strategy that you have to totally wrap your mind around involves the concept of dwell time. When you get people to visit your website, try to get them to stay for as long as possible. In other words, try to get them to dwell on your content. How come? First of all, Google's algorithm rewards websites that hold people for a longer period of time. If, for example, your website shows up in search results and a person clicks and takes a long time to get back to Google, Google's algorithm is set up to reward your site and punish websites that people bounce out of immediately. In Google's estimation, the searcher found what he or she was looking for on your website. That's why they stuck around for quite some time. The second advantage of dwell time involves branding. The more you get people to click page after page of your website, the more you brand them. The more you establish in their minds your authority and credibility. This leads to increasing levels of trust. You might even convince them to come back or, better yet, refer other people to your site. Finally, when you maximize dwell time, you walk the reader through the KLT process. This process is generally associated with sales. To get somebody to buy something from you, you must get them to trust you. However, for that trust to happen, they must like the option that you put on the table. Unfortunately, for that to happen, something else has to happen first. They must first feel that you know enough about their problem for them to like the solution that you're pushing. This is the KLT process. Know, like, trust. When you interlink your content in a very thorough way, you basically get the person to cycle through the different pieces of content you have. This gives them a good understanding of your expertise. This builds up enough trust in their minds that there's a good likelihood they may end up on a page that contains ads that would convert them. You increase the chances of this happening if you maximize dwell time. Website strategy. When it comes to housing your content, your website must be optimized for two things: ad placement and text link placement. Ad placement means that your ads must look like a form of content. Their power does not arise from the fact that they disrupt the experience of your viewer. Instead, your ad must add value to the content that the user is consuming. This can increase the likelihood of conversion. Also, your content must be optimized for text link placement. These are text ads. These ads look similar enough to your content. If you pull this off right, the ad would act as a form of content. It isn't intrusive. It doesn't stick out like a sore thumb, and it actually enhances the value of the content the reader is viewing. Social media accounts. Believe it or not, the social media accounts that you set up outside your blog are part of your niche content system. How come? Well, these accounts are for you to use to distribute your blog or website's content on different social media platforms. Accordingly, each of these accounts must reflect your brand's graphics. This way, when you're sharing content from your main site, there's no major disconnect between the social media account sharing of that content and what users will see when they click through to the link that you are sharing. Mailing list. Your mailing list must be designed from day one to work hand in hand with your main website to do one thing and one thing alone: maximize opt-ins. This is the job of your mailing list. It must be designed from the ground up to vacuum, suck up, or attract as many signups as possible. That is its job. However, this is not going to happen in isolation. This can only take place when the rest of the website is also optimized. One way to put this is you shouldn't look at designing your mailing list element in your website as an afterthought. You must design it on day one. Build a successful niche content creation system. A lot of people believe the mistaken idea that they have to produce content every single day. In their minds, the more content they have, the more Google will index and the more traffic they would get from search engines. Absolutely wrong. It depends on your niche. For example, if you are a publisher of an online newspaper, you have to publish at least once a day. Oftentimes, news is updated several times a day. But if your niche is fairly static, like, let's say, insurance, and you're not offering insurance news, then you should publish once a month at most. The key here is to prioritize quality over quantity. This is how you will dominate your niche. Focus your firepower on one amazing piece of content and spend the rest of your time promoting that awesome piece of content. That's how you build an empire. Again, it depends on your niche, but the takeaway here is quality over quantity. The shortcut. As you probably already know, if you come up with some weird ideas for what's hot in your niche, chances are you'll fall flat on your face. This is almost guaranteed. Unless you're absolutely sure that you have some sort of mental connection with your target audience members, chances are whatever ideas you think are hot are not all that hot to them. This is where reverse engineering comes in. Study your competitors and look at their most successful pieces of content. Look for content they have that has amazing levels of engagement. Start with those topics. Pay attention to those patterns and themes. Collect them, and then start with curation. Your first step must be curation. At this point, you really don't know what works and what doesn't work. At this point, all you know is your niche and your container for your niche. Accordingly, you should get the best pieces of content and populate it on your social media accounts. Market your accounts to try to get engagement for them. Pay attention to click patterns. Which pieces of content get a lot of clicks? Which pieces of content get a lot of engagement? Now, line these up and then see which pieces of content actually gets conversions. I'm talking about sales or mailing list opt-ins here. Once you have seen the results from your curated content, zero in on the specific types of content that generate a lot of the results that you're looking for. Load more successful curated content. Now that you know the theme or type of content that gets a lot of love from your audience members, get more of that stuff. See if the pattern holds. If this is the case, then you're onto something. You can then move on to the discussion below. However, if you notice that the new stuff isn't converting as the old stuff, then you need to keep looking for more patterns. It may well turn out that the initial success of certain niche content may be a fluke. Maybe it's some sort of statistical blip. Given enough time, you should be able to see key patterns as far as the type of content that generates the most engagement, conversions, or clicks. Create your own content based on your most successful curated material. Now that you have a clear idea of the type of curated content that gets the most engagements, conversions, and clicks, the next step is to come up with your own version of that content. You have to remember, when you're curating content, you're just pumping traffic to somebody else's website. It's still benefiting you because you get to use their content to build credibility and authority with your audience members. However, you're not getting actual clicks to your site. The conversions that you get are either ad conversions because you mounted this curated content on your blog, or your social media profiles because you put an affiliate ad on those pages. Still, these third-party pieces of content don't result in traffic to your specific site. When you create your own content based on these successful curated pieces of content, you build traffic to your site. How exactly do you improve on successful curated content? First, you can feature updated content. By simply making sure that your version of your niche's most successful content has the most up-to-date information, you can improve the quality of existing competitor content out there. Next, you can provide multimedia for this type of content. For example, a top 10 list on the best dog houses are big in your niche. Instead of just a text list of key products and what's so awesome about them, show actual videos and pictures. Third, you can use long-form content. What if I told you that search engines actually reward longer pieces of content with more traffic than shorter pieces of content? This should be fairly easy to understand because the longer your content is, the more keywords it has, and the more this can trigger Google to send traffic that targets those keywords. Look at your competitors' most successful content and come up with longer versions of them. Fourth, you can simplify the most successful curated content you can find so that your audience members would find them easier to understand. This can involve diagrams, and this can also involve rewriting the materials in 8th grade English. Do what you have to do to make sure that this material is as accessible to your niche audience as possible. Finally, you can convert your competitors' most successful content into a video. This not only gives you access to YouTube, but it also makes your content more engaging on social media like Facebook, which can turbocharge your traffic results. Create multiple format adaptations of your content. Now that you have created your own content based on the best curated items you've used, the next step is to promote this content on all your social media accounts as well as on your mailing list. In addition to that, you should create multiple format adaptations of your content. For example, you have a blog post. Convert into questions, and then add snippets of content from that blog post along with a shortened link, and then share it on Twitter. Similarly, you can take the questions that your blog post talks about and create question and answer blocks. So basically there's one question, and then you copy and paste a significant answer, and then put original content at the bottom. You then post this on Quora.com. Third, you can create videos, infographics, or just share the plain link on Facebook. Fourth, you can create a video, as I have mentioned earlier, about your blog post, and then share it on YouTube and Vimeo. Make sure you use your target keywords for your tags and categories. Finally, you can create an explanatory picture for your blog post and then share it on Pinterest. The picture, of course, links to the blog post. By creating multiple format adaptations of your content and heavily promoting them on your social media accounts, you drive niche-targeted traffic from all over the internet to your website. Make sure each piece of content you produce promotes older pieces of content. When you create a new piece of content on your blog or website, create at least 3 links within it that links to older pieces of content you have published. Don't waste this opportunity. If you are able to drag anybody from the internet to view your content, try to turn that one visit into multiple page views. You do this by putting text to links as well as graphical links in your blog post. Again, the key here is to maximize dwell time. You get to brand them better, and you also drag them into the deeper and deeper parts of your website, which can increase the chances of conversion. Promote each piece of content systematically. Here's the secret sauce to niche marketing. If you pick the right niche and you get this right, you are 99% on the way to making solid money off the internet. You're not quite there yet, but you're getting close. These promotion tips are geared towards the type of content you produce. Follow each suggestion under each content type to maximize your content's visibility on the internet. Blog posts or website posts. If you're putting up any kind of new content on your blog or your resource website, you need to carry out as many of the promotional tips listed below as possible. This will maximize your content's visibility, which can lead to more traffic, which can lead to more conversions. Do SEO outreach. Once you have a new blog post, look for blogs that link to blog posts that rank high for your target keyword. Your blog post has a target keyword. Look up the blog posts that rank high for your target keyword and then load their URLs into backlink checkers like ahrefs.com. This tool will tell you which websites are linking to the websites that already rank for your target keyword. You then reach out to these other sites and ask them to link to you as well. After all, they're already linking to content that is very similar to yours. You just need to persuade them to link to you as well because your content is more superior than your competitors. Share on Facebook pages. Not only should you share your original content on your own Facebook page, but you should also share the link of your content on other Facebook pages. Some Facebook pages will allow you to do this. Others will only allow you to do this in the comment section. Whatever the case may be, share your stuff on niche-related Facebook pages. The key here is that they must be related to your niche. Share your Facebook page post URL on Facebook groups. Once you have shared your original content's link on your official Facebook fan page, your next move should be to take the link to that Facebook page post and share it on niche-related Facebook groups. These are groups of people who are interested in your niche. So go to these groups, engage with people, and then drop your link to your page. Tweet shortened links on Twitter. When you post content on Twitter, there's a preview that shows up. Share your stuff on Twitter, but make sure you always use at least 2 niche-related hashtags. The hashtag is the secret to visibility on Twitter. Also, use target keywords in the description of your posted link on Twitter. Tweet snippets and questions on Twitter. Look through your content and see if you can find certain questions and copy and paste a small block of text that answers the question. Fit all of these into a tweet along with a shortened link to your original post and a hashtag or 2. Rotate among these hashtags. These question tweets can give you a bit of visibility on Twitter. Find related questions on Quora and post answers from your content. Looking through your blog post, see if you can come up with as many different related questions that your blog answers. You then search for these questions on Quora or find related questions. Post your answer and then link to your blog post as a resource. There's a technique to this. You can't just drop your link each and every time. Chances are you will get banned. Instead, you need to mask your link by mixing in other third-party high-quality links. Add in a little bit of Wikipedia or any other authoritative website. Also, make sure that the vast majority of your answers do not have anything to do with your own content. Because if Quora finds out that all your answers have a link to the same or different pages on your website, you will probably get banned. This is why I suggest that you restrict posts involving your content to a maximum of 20% of your posts. For the rest of your posts, engage naturally and share your expertise. Post your content on LinkedIn. There are many different people on LinkedIn who are interested in a wide range of niches. Post your blog post link on LinkedIn to get targeted traffic. Pictures. Convert your blog post into some sort of picture. Maybe it's a diagram, or maybe it's the header image of your post with some explanatory text. Whatever the case may be, create one picture that summarizes what the post is about. Promote this picture using the resources below. Post on Pinterest. Before you do this, look for your competitors on Pinterest. Pay attention to their tags. Reverse engineer those tags. Apply those tags to your picture on Pinterest, and then link your picture to the actual blog post that picture refers to. Post on Facebook. You can share pictures on Facebook groups as well as Facebook pages, but when you do this, always include more info. Link additional text. Do this for direct posts on Facebook groups, comments on Facebook groups, specific posts on pages on Facebook, as well as comments on pages. Post your picture on Twitter. Twitter also allows for picture posting. Post your picture on Twitter, but make sure you rotate niche-related hashtags each time you post. I would suggest that you use a scheduler software to post on Twitter at different times of the day to maximize visibility and reach. Post on Instagram. Use the same tips regarding hashtags above when posting on Instagram. The key here is to find as many different niche-related hashtags and target those. Also, post a comment on Instagram that builds interest in your picture. It's important to put in the description a non-clickable URL. This way, people can load into their browser the URL if they're intrigued by the photo you shared. Videos. You can convert blog posts into videos by turning the key points of the blog post into a short script. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can be as short as 100 words, which is good for about a minute of video. You can then create a slideshow out of this script with voiceover. You can search for services on Fiverr.com that offer this video creation service. They would read your blog post, come up with a short script, and create a slideshow based on the script using royalty-free pictures. They would then use a voiceover and some music to create your video. You take this video and upload it to YouTube. Make sure you pick your niche keywords as your tags. Also make sure you categorize your videos correctly. Upload to Instagram. You can also upload your videos on Instagram. Again, use the same tag and URL mention tips I shared in the picture section above. Twitter. Twitter also allows for video. Make sure you rotate niche-related hashtags. Facebook. You can upload a direct video to your Facebook page account. You should then promote the direct link to your Facebook page account by sharing in many different groups and other pages. Distribute your content in existing niche-related online communities. Using the videos, pictures, and blog post links you created above, go to the following places to promote your materials. Forums. Make sure you target only forums that are directly related to your niche or closely related to them. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time. Alternatively, you can find forums that have a general discussion section. These are sections where people talk about a wide range of subjects that may be off topic. You can promote your stuff there, but you have to be careful. Sometimes people are so touchy that they can get you banned. So make sure you engage and achieve some level of credibility first before dropping a link. Facebook groups and pages. See the tips I shared in the Facebook sections of videos, pictures, and blog posts mentioned above. What's important is that you focus on niche-specific groups and pages. Twitter hashtags. Make sure that you reverse engineer your competitors and look at the hashtags that they're using. Rotate among these hashtags and try to figure out which hashtags are producing the most visibility for your content on that platform. This is not easy to do. You need to come up with a way to track which hashtags got the most engagement. I would suggest that you create some sort of contest where people would have to self-report the hashtag that they saw with your content to participate in the contest. This is a sneaky way of gauging the reach and visibility made possible by your hashtag choices. YouTube channel videos comments. Search for your niche keywords on YouTube. You should be able to find lots of videos related to your niche. Don't worry about the competition. Instead, make the competition work for you. How? Look at their comments section and post really insightful stuff about their video. Do not post a link. Post as your channel. If they like what you posted and think you're some sort of genius, they probably would click on your account name. When they click on your account name, they find themselves in your channel. That's where you can brand them. That's where you can get them to watch your own videos.